we have in our independent column the number of games bowled, and in our dependent column the total cost of bowling. For 0 games bowled, the cost is $3. For 1 game, the cost is $9. For 2 games, the cost is $15. For 3 games, the cost is $21. For 4 games, the cost is $27. And for 5 games, the cost is $33. Which variable was the dependent variable? Well, we had talked about that already. The total cost of bowling depends on the number of games bowled. So that makes it the dependent variable, and it will go along the vertical axis. Which variable was the independent variable? Well, the independent variable was the number of games bowled. That will go along the horizontal axis, because the number of games bowled determines the total cost of bowling. So here we have our table of values. The graph that corresponds to this looks as this. In partial variation, the line doesn't cross the y-axis at the origin. In this example, the graph starts at 0, 3. That's because of the cost of renting the shoes. So we have on our independent axes the number of games, and our dependent axes the total cost of the game. That's our dependent variable, which is why we had to ask ourselves those two questions. If we examine the first differences, which is the difference between consecutive values in the chart, we will see that the first differences are a constant value of 6. We see this represented on a graph, and we look for the slope. We look for the rise and the run. Our slope, again, is rise over run. Our rise in this situation from these 2 points is 33 minus 9, or 24. And our run is 5 minus 1, or 4. So our rise over run is 24 over 4. That's 6. Note that the first differences were the same as the slope. And the slope between any 2 points on the graph is 6. That's because the slope between any 2 points along the straight line is the same as any other slope between any 2 other points on that same straight line. Also note the line crosses the y-axis at the point 0, 3. This is the y-intercept. B is 3. Now compare the y-intercept to the cost of a shoe rental, which is the initial cost for a night of bowling before any games are bowled. It's the same. Compare also the slope, m equals 6, and the cost per game. Since the cost per game is called the rate of change, the slope also represents the rate of change. $6 is the cost per game. So the slope of our graph represents the rate of change for games played.